Did you ever have a want, or a wish, or a dream, and like a bicycle for Christmas? Just a thought that can make you be? But the more you thought about it, the more you sore outside. Cause you find you couldn't have it, not even if you tried.
When you come call, when can you call, can you give me some?
But even if you're down us, I'm sure that when we're through, you'll change your mind and try, cause there's nothing that you can't do. Now what I'm going to tell you is about two birds I knew. An ostrich who stands on holes.
Lucky ever?
No, true. The other is a penguin who taught himself to fly.
Lucky ever?
Again, you say, if you tried.
Our story starts with Clarence, the ostrich. What a bird, known for hiding in the sand. I have no doubt you've heard about the way they shove their heads way down a hole to hide, forgetting that what stays above includes a big backside, feathers fluffed and shaking, a feast for hungry eyes. They're a fast food meal for lions. Just take one home.
Surprise!
It was no surprise to Clarence, though, an ostrich who was wise. Why, even as a little chick, he'd heartily advise.
When you smell the city lanes, you run to save your lives.
What do you mean?
His friends would scream.
If things get rough, we dive.
Your legs for speed, that's what you need. You run for your heart, hide your head, roll on your bed.
And that's just plain ain't smart.
From Termite Hill, from behind some bush, Clare would call to all the flock. He'd warn them.
You make lion lunch!
And they'd look back in shock. Sadly, he'd climb the safest tree to watch the scene unfold. All ostrich heads would disappear. First young ones, then the old, while several hungry lions would tiptoe into view and carry off the fattest birds, no doubt for ostrich stew. Each lunchtime this would happen, in the rain or in the sun, and when the lion's scent was gone, all heads popped out like one. A thinned-out flock would run and play like nothing had occurred, except for lonely Clarence, who thought it quite absurd to lose a loved one every day and never say a word.
What would you do if Claire were you?
Did you walking away? What? A whole kid, jumping away, kid, is a whole kid catching you.
Of course, there is that other choice, the choice that's hard as stone, to try and try with all your might, although you'd stand alone, to make the others in the flock admit that they've been wrong, then try to change the silly ways they've done things for so long. And so, one night by full moonlight, Clarence left the flock to wander. Through jungle and through marshland, he roamed the night to ponder, past watching eyes and hissing sighs, over mountain tops and yonder, until the sky from black had turned to gray and then to pink, until he sat beside a stream to rest his legs and think. And as he watched the rising sun and felt the heat of day, he knew he'd made his mind up. The flock was where he'd stay. He'd be like other ostriches who buried in the sand the chance to try and live, not die, a thing he once thought grand.
I tried, but could not change them. I'm scared to be alone. I tried so hard to change them. I failed. I'll go home.
Aha! You're no doubt saying, at this point in my tale, what's the use of trying if we tried and then we failed?
Why may you go to this who don't time for a 1, 2, 3 who make the song and go.
Besides, this story isn't over. In fact, it has just begun. There's another bird, remember? And this bird doesn't run.
So let's return to Clarence, who sat beside the stream, exhausted and quite certain that his hopes were just a dream. The ostrich watched the crimson sun, reflecting in the brook, and then he saw through tearful eyes. He screamed, then shook. Across the sky a grayish blur first streaked, then climbed, then looped, once upside down, then right side up. Like an eagle it would swoop. And then it shot past Clarence's nose, then right between his knees. The ostrich yelled,
Are you a bird?
A penguin, are you believe?
There are no flying penguins. Is this some kind of trick?
It is, but it is not. Take the pick.
and then it soared into the breeze and popped through puffy clouds. His laughter echoed through the sky, perhaps a bit too loud, but soon it crashed into the stream, a splashing lightning streak. Politely he then took a bow and gently wiped his beak.
My name is Orville Penguin. I flew from the pub. My dad, you are a artist. We're from the pub.
That seems to be my problem.
The ostrich sadly said.
I wish I had a hole right now. I wish that I was dead.
He bent his legs, then drooped his head until it touched the ground. And then he sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, a sad, sad kind of sound.
What they are not there for? No crying, no feeling of friend, and a dead bad end.
After taking off his goggles and putting on a smile, Orville tickled Clarence with his beak. This penguin sure had style. Like magic, there was laughter that filled the jungle air. Clarence laughed away his troubles till he met the penguin's stare.
Sir, what is your name? You are a actress. From your whole episode of the tear making losing a show.
And so the ostrich told him the story to the end, and all the things that happened he had to feel again. The penguin learned of lions who dine on ostrich stew, and ostriches who let them because they hide their heads from view, and how poor Clarence left them when he couldn't change their ways, and how he thought he'd go back home to spend his dying days.
I really did not believe you.
Orville said when Clara was through.
I imagine to give up your fate. So much left to do.
So much to do. Just listen to you. I'm scared to be alone. I tried but could not change them. I failed. Now I'll go home.
But as he stretched his long pink legs and flapped his wings to leave, the pilot penguin jumped aloft and through the trees he weaved, shouting all the while the kindest kind of shout.
What try? What try it about?
Then Orville, like a scrubbing brush that's rubbing out a stain, began to peck the ostrich head to clear his muddled brain.
I will tell you something from my heart. I will hear it. I will listen it. You are a moth.
The penguin found a sturdy branch above the head of Clarence. He perched himself, then took a breath.
I guess I'll start with parents. Now I had two, Alberta and Lou, who were full of love and kindness. But they didn't fly, and I tell you why. A bad case of flying blindness. Now this disease had horribly seized the members of each flock. No penguins flew or wanted to. They all had mental blocks. The legends show that long ago one bird was scared to fly. The panic spread through every head till none would even try.
You mean to tell me, Orville?
Clarence stretched his neck and swallowed.
A single penguin shut his wings and others blindly followed?
Well, penguins act like other birds, like ostriches, I'm told. It's easier to follow than try to break a mold. And as long winters piled up like cold Antarctic snow, all penguins learned to swim instead. They lost the joy, I know, to soar above the frozen ice and breathe the earth below. The beauty of its silence, its whiteness and its glow.
Then Orville sighed. He spread his wings. One stretched around Claire's shoulder.
If you really want to change your flock, you'll have to be much bolder. I have enjoyed our little chat. I'm already getting older. I think it's time you headed home. Go, be an ostrich molder.
But you haven't told me yet, Orville,
Clarence pointed to the sky.
how you crushed that mental block of yours and taught yourself how to fly.
There's really nothing to it. I'm sorry I forgot. This heat is getting to me. A jungle sure gets hot.
And so that flyer from the pole, while Clarence waved a palm, related how he'd learned to fly. The fanning kept him calm.
As a little chick, I was often sick. Alberta thought me weak. The Lou would sail me in a boat. He'd push me with his beak. They seldom let me swim or fish. They thought I'd catch the flu. But I would sneak off when I could, and this is what I do. I study all the flying birds, the pelican, the tern. I copy each bird's grateful trait and practice what I learned. Like climbing giant iceberg, I pretend to rule the sky. Like an eagle, I would span my wings. I'd beat them till I'd cry. I'd stretch my neck and shift my tail, imagining my flight, and then I'd relive every thrill when I would dream that night, and I kept trying every day. My wings were getting stronger. I even thought that when I jumped, my falls were taking longer. Then one day, as I trained for flight, quite high upon some cliff, I got the strangest feeling. I paused to take a sniff. A sniff was all I needed. I sensed some danger there. Slowly turned to stare behind. Giant polar bear! The bear, he lumbered toward me. I slowly inched away. Too soon I reached the edge of ice. How could I jump or stay? Oh, what to do? Oh, what to do? Finished either way.
The ostrich shot into the air. The tension was just too high.
What did you do? What did you do?
What could I do? But fly! I spread my wings and caught the wind. I turned from earth to sky. Breezes seemed to hold me up. I'd never been so high. Far below me looking hill, a tiny polar bear groaned with wonder as I flew. What could he do but stare? And so, my friend, by trying, I came to rule the sky and so can you by trying. Teach an ostrich not to die.
Wait a minute, Orville. Your stories won't hold. It's easy. Improve yourself. It's hard to break a mold.
The mold was quickly broken when the members of my flock looked up and saw me lying there, which broke their mental blocks. My mother was the first to fly. She flew to rescue me. Then my father followed her, first one, then two, then three, until all the penguins of my flock had flown. The mold was broken. And now it's up to you, my friend. Make others when you've spoken. Believe that they can save their lives. Here, take this little token.
The penguin took his goggles off. Claire put them round his head.
Now you're a pilot ostrich. Let's leave the rest unsaid.
And so, the birds departed after hugging and some tears. The memories they took away would last them through the years. Old Orville made one final pass before he disappeared.
Just keep on trying. You'll succeed. Your goggles look weird.
The ring of penguin laughter built echoes for some length, and Clarence, as he marched along, possessed a penguin's strength. Inside, he knew he could not fail. You know the reason why.
There's no such thing as failure if you try and try and try.
And so, by midday, Clarence found his flock prepared for lunch. Their heads were down, their tails were up. A stupid, hopeless bunch. Not to the ostrich Clarence, why, this was what he wanted. He sat upon a termite hill, a hunter from the hunted. He sniffed the air and waited. Air stuffed with lion scent, and when a lion tiptoed in, toward cat the ostrich went, shouting as he sprinted to the ostriches all bent.
I said run! To save your lives! That's what I meant!
The ostrich kept on running till he reached the king of beasts. The lion with a smile asked,
Get for my face.
In answer to his question, the ostrich pecked his head. The lion blinked in disbelief, then screamed,
Ha! What you is dead.
With that, the famous chase began. Around the open plain, and other lions joined the chase, but they were all in vain. The ostrich ran with all his might down vales and over hills. The lions could not catch him, though, with speed or hunting skills. And one by one, the ostriches, who listened from down under, had popped their heads to take a peek. Then all mouths dropped with wonder. Atop the tallest patch of green, his wings in victory raised, stood Clarence smiling, and below the lions lay, amazed, too pooped and too exhausted to even crawl away. They listened to the ostrich, who had the final say.
Your legs for speed is what you need. You run all your heart, hide your head, you end up dead. It just plain isn't smart.
I guess that brings my story to a very happy close. From that day on, the ostriches, or so the story goes, were able to avoid those cats by staying on their toes.
Get for it was
New meadows, I suppose? Something slower? Some tasty grass? Who knows? Now, in conclusion, I must tell what I said long ago. If you try and try with all your might, you'll surely know what you've been aiming for, though it may take a while. So,
Remember Clar and Orville, and why they make you smile.